All right, guys, we're here with Joe with Slayer Calls. So tell us about your whole stuff here.
Well, so where we're a little different in our calls is that, and this pretty much makes us unique, is that when a frame is built, yeah, it's basically a U, it's basically an oval, and then we fold it over and make the U. All reeds pretty much have this ridge. There's a ridge on top, and it's made for being stiff. It's made so that the call won't flex. And so there's that, it's like putting a crease in the hood of your car. What we did on our calls is we took on this opposite side, we inverted it. And so we have a ridge on this side and we have a valley on that. What that does is it allows male to female part on the inside. By doing that, you get better grip on the latex. Now, what I didn't know when I was thinking this stuff up was that when you take the ridge out the one side, it actually thins the profile of the actual frame down.
Awesome.
Because instead of being here, it's down. What that did was it put us closer to the latex with your tongue. Now, most calls, when you have a 1/2 inch frame, you use 1/2 inch tape and it gets clear to the edge. So that's what we were doing initially. We were doing it this way. But what we found when we started realizing that you can get close, when you get closer to the latex with your tongue, it gives you more control. And so what we did is we actually backed the latex off, or the tape off, and went to 5/8 inch hole. What that allows our tongue to do is actually get down to the actual latex a lot easier. There's not like a valley or a little hole that you're trying to get to. What that gives you when you're operating the reed is you don't have to put as much tongue pressure into the latex to make it run. What we find is people that are using our calls after using somebody else's actually have to back that pressure off because they're used to having to push through the hole or push over that ridge to get to the latex.
Awesome.
And ours, you don't have to do that. The other thing we did is with most people's calls are 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. Rocky Jacobson with Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls, he kind of developed that. And less latex means less latex to control in your mouth, makes it easier to blow. So most turkey calls are 5/8 frames. Turkeys make a lot of crazy sounds.
Oh yeah.
And so that frame is kept big.
Kept wider, more sounds.
The control, like when you look at a guy calling turkeys, they're calling like different this way in the reed. We kept in our elk frames 1/2 inch, but we went 5/8 deep. So what that does is it allows us to add a little more latex to the call. So in some cases where we have our North Fork, it's set way out in length. By setting out more lengths, you get more tones into your calling.
Awesome.
The lock saw, for example, we bring that back to 1/2 inch. Lock saw is a 6/1000 frame, takes a lot of pressure to make it run. So if we bring that back to 1/2 inch, it makes it easier. So some calls, like our minor, we set back at 1/2 inch, makes it very easy to run the high notes and do that. Or where our maniac, we set out, gets more volume. So you'll look at our frame sometimes and see the frame the latex either set down low or clear out. We're doing that for a reason. Nobody else's frames have the depth that we do, and it allows us to go back and forth like that.
Awesome.
Now, I'm not saying, the Phelps line, Riven line, that all these guys are my friends, and everybody makes a great call. I think when you have different types of calls, it gives you more tools in your toolbox, so to speak, so that you make different sounds. So that's what we're trying to do in our line. We try to make each one of our calls very different, but I'm also saying when you use somebody else's frame, you're going to get different sounds out of that too.
Awesome.
So trying to mix that up and try to get as much sound as you can when you're hunting.
Yeah, so what you were kind of saying, like it makes it easier to call, right? In some of your frames. So probably pretty youth friendly.
Very youth friendly.
As far as that sort of realm. And that's my thing. So I think these would be great calls for youth to start out on
100%.
Because they're just so easy to blow.
Yep. So another thing to do, Travis O'Shea with Wappi River Outdoors, he's got another booth down here. He's out of Canada. He developed a process where they're notching basically at 45 degrees on the tape, like right here and right here. They're putting a notch or a hole. By doing that, when the call folds over your mouth, it doesn't form a crease.
I like that.
Now you can take a hole punch with anybody's calls, especially for youth, and punt before you trim the tape or the tape out here. punch a hole here and punch a hole there, and it'll take that away. You'll find that that fits most youth's mouths by doing that. You don't have to necessarily trim that tape.
Awesome. That's a good tip.
And the more tape you have, the better you're going to have for sealing.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's a great
awesome.
tip for kids.
Yeah. Well, thank you for running it down.
Yeah, thank you very much
Appreciate
for
it.
stopping by. I appreciate that.
Awesome.
Thank you.